Of Chicago Bulls Central, the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, and it's Bulls game day. It's game day, which means that we are facing the Sacramento Kings today. We're going to break it all down, interact, see what's going on, how you guys feeling. We're going to get into all that plus more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, Bulls fans, we had some time off after the disappointing loss to the Golden State Warriors, and now we're getting ready to face the Sacramento Kings, and in this road stretch for the Chicago Bulls, any and all hope that the Bulls will come out of this road stretch above 500 are all but dashed. They do face the Kings today on the road, and then they have two games at home against Washington and Dallas before they go to Atlanta, and then they have two games at home against the New York Knicks. So still an interesting stretch for the Chicago Bulls. They don't want to overlook the Sacramento team that can score with just about anyone in this league. And again, as with most things, the Chicago Bulls are susceptible to three-point shooting. What are some of the things that the Kings do pretty well? They shoot the three ball, at least some of their players, pretty solidly. So we don't want to allow them to get hot from the three-point range. Javonte Green's going to be out this game, which means that maybe Patrick Williams is starting. And the reason why I say maybe is because we'll see just how much Patrick Williams has really fallen out of favor with Billy Donovan, depending on if he gets to start today. If they do decide to go ahead and start Derrick Jones Jr. over Patrick Williams, that really tells us everything we need to know on how this coaching staff is really viewing Patrick Williams right now. Patrick Williams, who played a pretty solid first half in the game against the Golden State Warriors, terrible second half, but we'll see what means with that. So we'll see what that means for this team and how Patrick Williams responds. I think I would assume he responded pretty well to coming off the bench. Him pushing the tempo, getting to play with a little bit more energy in that second unit definitely helped him be more effective against the Golden State Warriors. But we'll see what it means. This is going to be a team against the Sacramento Kings that have a damn good starting point guard and a pretty good backup point guard as well with Davion Mitchell, who can put some points up. And then also Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk. Expect a lot of points to come from the bench unit. I'm sorry, not from the bench unit, but from the guards overall in this game. But Domantas Sabonis, he's been on a tear. Sabonis is leading the Sacramento Kings in both rebounding and assists. And he's second on the team in scoring. So if we can disrupt him, maybe Drummond plays more minutes in this game. Hopefully Vooch plays a lot better defensively in this game. If we can disrupt him, we can disrupt a lot of what the Sacramento Kings do well in this game. So we'll see. MC Season in the building says, what's good, Haize? Tough loss today. How you been? I've been good, bro. I've been good. It sucks losing to the Packers, though. What's going on, Auntie? Glad to have you in the building. Windy City Vid says, after experiencing that Bears L, Bulls need to get a win. This is a game you have to win. The Kings are doing good. They're on a back-to-back. We need to get this win. Can't get out challenge. Listen, you never know. And the thing with this Bulls team is because they don't play with heart, you're susceptible to get outworked by any team on any given night, right? Bulls have had the rest advantage in other games and been the one that they've come out flat, and they were the team that wasn't coming off a back-to-back. Let's hope that's not the case for the Chicago Bulls today. Markel, so help me. If we lose this game tonight to the damn Kings, y'all going to be seeing a different side of me. Oh, Lord. We got Petty Markel in the building. All I want for my birthday is a Bulls victory. Is that too much to ask? All I wanted is a Bulls and Bears victory, and we're not getting that, but I'll settle for one half of that. I'm still numb from the other game. Yeah, that game was frustrating. Seeing the Bulls lose to the Green Bay Packers is never going to be something I do well. I can tell you that right now. Alana in the building says, if we let Sabonis eat the glass like he did last year, I'm going to be so annoyed. Agree with you there. Hi, bro. How you doing? I hope the Bulls get their shit together tonight and win. From your mouth to God's ears. Because, yeah, we can only, at some point, right? At some point, it's going to be one or two things. Either this team is going to continue to lose and be bad, or this team is going to work and grind themselves up and play much better. It can go one or two ways. But it doesn't look like it's going to go the positive way as of right now with how this team's been playing. Kings definitely got shooters. Shaking my head, Haize. I don't have shit to say. We definitely need this. I'm gonna just sit back and watch the game. Hey, Auntie, I feel you. Your voicemail that you left on the Saturday mailbag episode was, I think, what every Bulls fan wanted to say and needed to hear. Because I literally listened to the voicemail. I was like, Hey, Goon hit it. Because yeah, it's nothing left to say after that. Also, hopefully our starters actually do good today and don't come out lethargic. You would hope so, right? You can only get embarrassed so much. Brandon LJ, don't get me started on the Bears again. I'm still depressed. I feel you. L in the building says, hey, thank you for supporting the channel with the super chat, brother. Just showing some love to the channel. By the way, L-E-H. My initials L-E-H. Wish I could call a win here, but I smell an L. Prove me wrong, Chicago. Keep it up, Haize. Hey, brother, I feel you. I really hope that this team can get their life together. It doesn't look promising all the time, but hopefully they can. Without Green playing with DJJ and maybe Dalen Terry get playing. Dalen Terry's not getting playing time. I'll tell you that right now. Dalen, it doesn't matter. It would have to take Patrick Williams, Derrick Jones Jr., Javonte Green, Jesus to be out with the injury, and then you may see Dalen Terry start or get some minutes. He's just, I don't know why they aren't using the young bull, bro, because he just has so much potential. Bulls looking nice last year. The fuck is going on? Listen, I mean, no, they started off this season how they ended out last season. DeMar and Zach were deemed untouchable, so we know that rumor is false. Yeah, listen, and I've been saying that, and there are so many Bulls fans in the comments just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? We're not going to trade? We should. We should trade the core. We should do it while it's hot. You know, just Joker. We should trade him while it's hot. Like, no, it's like I and this happens all the time. I talk about this all the time when it comes to Bulls fans. And this is just real. And most people who've been Bulls fans will know that this is true and know what I'm about to say is 100% true. Bulls fans typically, the moment there's a rumor, that the moment there's any type of anything like that, all they do is try to validate it and say, oh, well, we need to do this. What do you mean? We need to trade the Bulls to the Lake. We need Jeremy Grant. We need Miles Turner. We need to send Vooch to the Lake. Like, that's all they'll do. That's all they do. It happens every single year. It never stops. It never stops. Whatever the predominant rumor that comes out, they'll literally all of a sudden now that's what we need to do, right? And it's like, you guys are so freaking gullible. It's ridiculous. All it took, I said it. Shy Bulls podcast said it. Aiden with the Bulls show said it. The trades that Bill Simmons floated around aren't likely, and a lot of them weren't even able to happen per the what's the damn thing I'm looking for? The collective, the CBA. It's just not allowed to happen. And Bulls fans they completely don't pay attention to any of that. And next thing you know, we need to do this. We need to do that. Come on. It's not happening, people. It's not happening. Sluggo says, haven't seen it posted a while, but is BD sticking with the new starting lineup? Well, Javonte Green is out this game, so it won't be that same starting lineup right now. Excited to see Io versus Davion. I think they play kind of similar. I think that Davion's a better shooter than what Io has shown in the NBA. I still think Io can be a hell of a shooter at the NBA level. We just haven't seen it a lot. Yo, what's up, Haize? C-Red, that's from Zachary. What's going on, Zachary? Marcus Couch in the building says, last game before your birthday, let's get a Bulls win and 10K subs as a nice gift for you. Listen, for us to get 10K subs, we'd have to have our most successful day since I started this channel. We are 517 away from the 10,000. If we hit 10,000 today, I may buy everybody a Chicago Bulls ticket. Like, Brendan LJ, I doubt we get to 10K subs by tomorrow, but we can hope for a Bulls W for sure. L says, I would like to see IOP, Will, and Terry get some 30-plus runs just to see them out there. I'm getting burnt out on seeing our current big three. I'm confused with this team, as many people are confused with this team. Many people are confused with this team. Also, something I've seen on Twitter is how it ain't fair. The Lakers getting bailed out like Vooch and DeMar for Westbrook don't even add up. At least it doesn't. It's never going to happen. It was never going to happen. And that's one thing that the media does. It always tries to figure out a way. If you notice, every player that quote unquote becomes available in trade, somehow the Lakers get in. They're rumored to be interested, even though it's not a lot of ways for that to happen. Goon, Bulls got to stop playing like they don't have heart. When we do, we got all this potential. Wish the Bulls use it. From your mouth to God's ears, Goon. Sticking it out like we expect them to do in the locker room. Go Bulls. I don't have no pom-poms for no outside help. See red, go Bulls, execute. Shout out to you. Crystal Hodges says, Chicago Bulls win game for me, Crystal Hodges. Shout out to you. Hopefully they win for somebody, right? I'm going to take a nap after this live stream, but hopefully we'll get a dub for yours and Brandon's B-Day. I hope so. Adrian, is the Acme honeymoon officially over? No. I mean, the fact of the matter is this. No front office is perfect. No front office nails it out the park. And where Acme has taken this team from what they inherited to now, it still does get a lot of recognition because they have done a good job of just improving the team from what it was. But now, what great front office, this is what's going to tell the difference between, is this front office a great front office yet? It's how you adjust on the fly. This team has some serious deficits. Even if this front office doesn't think they need to move on from DeMar, Vooch, or Zach, and they're going to maintain that big three, you still need to figure out this. We need more balance off the bench. We need some consistent shooting off the bench. We'll see what this team does, but no, I don't think the honeymoon is over yet with them. It's just, I mean, well, I guess in a way, because now it's time to get into the nitty-gritty. It is time to get in the nitty-gritty of it, and let's really take this team to the next level. 50% of the offense is run through DeRozan. They got to balance that out more so all can eat, especially when he's not he can be a great facilitator. We've seen it in San Antonio. It just hasn't come over for this team. Hasn't come over to this team yet. The Acme honeymoon is closer to divorce after that Billy contract extension. Yeah, that is another thing in that, right? Feeling a good game from Zach. The Kings defense isn't amazing. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? We haven't faced amazing defenses in a while. And Zach, and I get it. It's going to happen at some point. At some point, we're going to get that game from Zach LaVine that just reminds everybody how good Zach can be, right? And has been for stretches for the Chicago Bulls when he was healthy. It's going to come eventually. I went over it. I went over the last time Zach LaVine had any type of knee surgery. It was a more major one than the one he had last season. His numbers were very similar to what we're getting from him now. I just kind of think it may just take Zach LaVine, even though he's healed technically, may take him a minute to just really get back in rhythm. So, Goon says, Bulls, Bears, Hawks, shaking my head. Wow, my Chicago teams. Yeah, it's tough. Does it seem like DeMar doesn't pass to Zach often and Zach gets frustrated and becomes less engaged or tries to get his by taking bad shots? DeMar's probably my favorite player, by the way, so no shade. I wouldn't say he doesn't pass to Zach. I think that's trying to look for something that's not there. Either way, these two players have the highest usage rate on the team, so they're getting their touches. I don't think it's necessarily a thing about touches. I do think Zach LaVine gets frustrated by his shot not falling, and then he tries to go out there and do too much at times. I absolutely think that, but I don't know if it's a thing that's based off DeMar passing to him or not. L says, now that I think of it, we probably could have more shooting or better shooting. Acme is not the overall issue. The cap space issue is holding us back as well. Spend some money. Well, I wouldn't say that either. The Bulls are over the cap. They're just not into the luxury tax. The Bulls spend over the cap. You can have a team, and then this isn't. NBA salaries are so high. This isn't where it was like 5 years ago where more teams were paying the luxury tax than not. I honestly think only 10 teams are paying the luxury tax so far this season. I'll do some quick research on that. But, so no, I mean, this team has spent more than enough money to really overcome and then be a solid team. So, yeah, I just looked at it. Right now, there are only 10 teams that are paying the luxury tax right now. That's the Clippers, the Warriors, the Nets, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Suns, the Mavericks, the Nuggets, and the Sixers. That's it. No other team is paying the luxury tax right now, which is crazy. So that even includes some of the teams that are right now slated as playoff teams. The Toronto Raptors aren't paying the luxury tax. The Cleveland Cavaliers are not paying the luxury tax. The Atlanta Hawks not paying the luxury tax. But I will say some of the teams that are the best teams in the NBA are definitely paying the luxury tax. But it's not. I think sometimes as Bulls fans, we have a habit of making it seem like the Bulls are the only team not paying the luxury tax. Most teams don't pay the luxury tax. They just don't. Now, that wasn't the same about 8 to 10 years ago, but nowadays, most teams are not paying the luxury tax. But the Bulls are over the cap. They're just not into the luxury tax. What do you think is going on with Zach? He was on injury management in the beginning of the season. It was supposed to be like that all season, but I guess that was thrown away. No, the Bulls just haven't played a lot of back-to-backs. I think once they have another stretch of a lot of back-to-backs in late December, I think it is what it is. I think that's when we'll start seeing injury and pain management come back for him, but we just haven't been playing a lot of back-to-backs. And so we started off the season playing 4 sets of back-to-backs in the first 4 weeks of the season. So they were doing some management right away there because they knew that was coming. But we just don't play a lot of back-to-backs right now. Do you think they didn't make the moves to improve the roster even knowing the issues we had on the team because they wanted to see continuity? Do you think those moves being made this offseason? Well, they did make moves to improve the roster. Andre Drummond and Goran Dragic, and when they're playing, especially when Drummond's given minutes, they definitely improve the roster. They are everything that the Bulls needed and wanted from both of those guys. They only had a certain amount of roster spots. I do think that, keep in mind too, that had the Bulls had their plan, it would have been Danilo Gallinari, Andre Drummond, and Goran Dragic. But Gallinari decided to take the deal in Boston, then tore his ACL. So I think that we sometimes forget that if they would have had their actual plan, yes, they didn't spend the big time money on put all their money into one player like what some people expected them to do, and they didn't use their whole mid-level exception because they didn't want to go into the luxury tax. But this team was making moves to get there. They did. They had a plan. They had 3 players in mind that they would have brought in, and I think Danilo Gallinari would have helped this team greatly with his ability to stretch the floor and play the 4 and do some rebounding, but it just didn't come to fruition that way. King Kofu, what up, Haize? What's going on, Kofu? Facebook user says, watching from the Philippines, glad to have you here. Also, he was a good facilitator at first when Zach came back, when he had 8 points versus the Hornets and 8 points versus the Raptors. But he went away from that. I like when he scores, but he don't need to all the time. Yeah, DeMar does not need to score all the time to be effective, but it just kind of seems like that's the role on here. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. We match up great against Boston. I honestly think if we were to face Boston in a 7-game series, it probably wouldn't go the way that a lot of players think that it would, or a lot of fans think that it would. I think we can beat. I've always said that. Now, to me, the way that we match up with Boston, especially when we have Lonzo Ball, I do think we match up well against Boston. That's just a team we match up well against, personally. The Hawks, I think we can beat the Hawks in a 7-game series. The Pacers, I think we'd be able to beat the Pacers in a 7-game series. It just depends on what version of the Chicago Bulls shows up. Teams are the new TV deal is going to bring a lot more money, for sure. Nah, these are kind of things that I don't know if you're a Ball family stan or not, but no, AK's vision isn't with Ball again, keep in mind, Lonzo Ball was not used as a traditional point guard. And Lonzo Ball does not fix every issue that the Chicago Bulls team has. And it's not just on the players for the struggle. Billy Donovan has a big part in his scheme in the way that he uses players, even in the way that he used Lonzo Ball and didn't have Lonzo Ball really doing any half-court sets. Now, Lonzo's so good, and especially out in transition, and the defense is so much better when Lonzo's on the court, but that doesn't fix everything that's facing the Chicago Bulls right now. We'd be a team that gets more turnovers and got out in transition, but a lot of those scheme things would still be an issue. Pick and Bull says, greetings from our podcast from Spain. We heard you on Locked On. Do you think it was okay to re-sign Donovan for more years? We consider it could be the first really bad thing of AK. Here's what I'll say with this. Keep in mind, too, especially as more information came out, it seems like the re-signing of Billy Donovan was a Reinsdorf move. When Billy Donovan came out and says that he talks to Jerry Reinsdorf every day on the phone, that kind of not to say that they aren't still in sync with the front office, but I do think that, keep in mind too, the Reinsdorfs were the ones that wanted AK to be open to keeping Jim Boylan. So now that you get a better coach in, I can completely see Jerry Reinsdorf talking to AK and saying, hey, listen, I know we're dealing with some issues. Let's go ahead and lock in BD for a while. I really like Billy Donovan. I like whatever he does, whatever it is. And AK probably looked at it and was like, well, me and Billy Donovan have open communication. We're locked in. So there, let's go ahead and sign him in, and we'll continue to improve the roster where we can. Do I think that it could be a huge mistake in the future? Absolutely, I do think that it could be a huge mistake in the future. Absolutely think that. Okay, Alex Lorez. So the TV contracts, the NBA's deals with ESPN, ABC, any network that airs NBA teams on their channels. There's a TV deal. That contract is up at the end of this season or next season. And usually when they re-up that deal, they sign it with so much more money. And one of the key things in this new television contract is they're going to remove blackout. So, like if you guys are subscribed to NBA TV, for example, I live in Columbus, Ohio. Even though I don't live in Cleveland, if the game is aired in Columbus, Ohio, it's blacked out on NBA TV. In Cleveland, it's blacked out on NBA TV for me. So the new TV deal, they're trying to remove those restrictions to really make NBA TV more of a bigger thing. So the blackout dates don't happen. You kind of have more range with streaming. They're really trying to own their streaming future as well. But anytime the TV contract comes up, they renegotiate for huge money. And then the salary cap increases because of that too, because all that, the TV deals and everything are factored into the luxury tax and the salary cap. So when the NBA signs new TV deals, you usually see a huge rise in the salary cap. And that's going to create more opportunities for these teams that are up right against the tax. It's going to create more opportunities for them to go out and sign more and bigger free agents because they're going to have even more space. The teams that are already over into the luxury tax, they're not going to see as much benefit from it because they're still paying so much of the tax. Like the Golden State Warriors, for example, when the TV deal comes in and the salary cap increases, it's going to lessen their luxury tax bill, but they're still going to be in the luxury tax. A team like the Chicago Bulls that aren't paying the luxury tax, that new TV deal, it's not only going to increase their amount of space, they're not going to have more space to sign free agents and still not even be touching that luxury tax. Again, I'm not saying that to excuse the Bulls' lack of going after big name free agents. I'm just analyzing what it is, in my opinion. So, Big and Bull says Lonzo just helps hiding a bit the problem. We have the interior defense thanks to the perimeter. Definitely, we perimeter defense he gets with Caruso, but we may have other problems such as static offense. Yeah, for sure, 100% agree with that. King Kofu says, you stole my thunder with that Lonzo comment. I went back and watched a few games with Lonzo, and it shows that the defense and offense runs much. Oh, for sure. And two, right? Even though this offense still went heavily through DeMar DeRozan with Lonzo on the court, having Lonzo on the court and just him being better at the offense moving through him and finding the open guys, it just flowed a lot better, for sure. Shy City, do you think the Chicago Bulls owner unwillingness to spend money? We got to stop. He's spending money. He just doesn't go into the luxury tax. Part of me honestly understands there's no player that the Bulls could have signed this offseason that sent them into the tax that completely improved this team and made this team a championship team. Part of me does understand not wanting to spend luxury tax money if you're not for sure a championship team. But also, how much can you improve this team without there's two sides of that coin. And I understand both sides of it. I do think that this team with better roster construction would be much better even if they didn't go into the luxury tax. But I do think at some point there are a handful of teams that have been able to avoid the luxury tax while being a championship team. And usually those teams if they're able to become a championship team without paying the tax, it's only because they drafted well for years. And those players, while still under decently controlled contracts, have ascended to superstar status. The Chicago Bulls have not had that because of the way that Garpax drafted for so many years. And then now, even the draft picks that have come in under AK and Eversley, Ayo Dosunmu, Patrick Williams, Marko Simonovic, Dalen Terry, they don't really get the opportunities. Patrick Williams has disappointed. He's been passive P at times. He shows flashes of that. Ayo's definitely shown flashes. We haven't seen Dalen Terry. We haven't seen Marko Simonovic. But even with them, when they do play, we just have not, they are not in the position to really grow their game much. So it's kind of it's a two-sided coin in a lot of ways. Whoa, Goon with the super chat. Thank you, Auntie, for supporting the channel. You know we love you around here. Vincent Harris, I do know if it will happen. I don't know if it will happen, but if you look at the Chicago Bulls up and coming game, they have a chance to go on a little run, but you never know how are they playing right now. You never know with this Bulls team. That's the thing, right? With a team that plays with no heart, you can never bet on them going on a run. You can bet because they aren't consistent in any stretch. Like, for example, if this was the Scott Skiles coach Chicago Bulls, I would absolutely say this and be like, hey man, this team can go on a little run here. Because that team constantly played with heart. They were sometimes out-talented. There's times that they just didn't have as much talent as the other team, but they always played with heart. They always got after it on both sides of the ball. They always were dogs defensively. We don't have that type of identity with this team. We just don't, and it hurts us. Big fan of Barnes. I'm from Iowa, and he is a legend. Best high school hooper ever from the state. Dude was Harrison Barnes. I would love to have Harrison Barnes on this team. Love to have Harrison Barnes on this team. After watching the Bears choke today, I don't think I can handle a loss to the Kings. Hey, I mean, get you some emotional support coming soon, brother. I say we start Dragic and let DeRozan and Io come off the bench just for one game and see what. It's never going to happen. They are never going to move DeMar DeRozan to the bench. It's not going to happen. Unless he's coming back from injury. DeMar DeRozan is never moving to the bench on this team. Shannon Williams, DeMar should come off the bench, put P. Will as small forward. Never going to happen. Never going to. I can absolutely see the validity in what you're saying. Give Patrick Williams more opportunity for things to run through him. We've said it. I've said it. When Patrick Williams has things run through him, it's only happened in a few games. Patrick Williams is a very productive player. But, we'll see. Taking into account that Javonte is out today, do you think it could be a good night for Patrick to make his number? Oh, for sure. Will he, though? We don't even know if he's going to get the start. Always, I've been following you since I subscribed to your channel. It's all love here. You know I love you, Auntie. I appreciate you. But yeah, it's just, and I'm going to see if we've announced the starting lineups. Usually the starting lineups come out by now. Let's see if they have. It's going to be really interesting to see if Patrick Williams is the starter, because if Patrick Williams is not the starter, that's going to be real ugly real quick. Going out, let me not say real ugly as far as loss, but it just means how they really view him. Oh, so they have announced the starters. Patrick Williams is starting. So the starters for tonight are Caruso, Levine, DeMar, P. Will, and Vooch. Those are the starters for tonight. They just announced it. Go ahead and retweet that. They just tweeted it 43 seconds ago, too. I was on it. Look at that. DeMar, one-on-one player, bad defender, makes nobody better. I mean, he is definitely a one-on-one player. I'll say this, right? It's not all DeMar. A lot of it is DeMar. I place a lot of it on DeMar. But these Bulls players do watch him and just don't move without the ball. They need to do that as well. Some of that needs to happen too. We need to also hold them accountable for that as well. Intuition game. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Haize Will, that's starting up to post. That's funny. Hey, kind of is what it is. I like Alex starting. I feel like he just brings that defense and energy that we need in the starting lineup. He does. I mean, Io does too, but it's just been something's going on with Io. Off-ball movement is a huge, absolutely. And I'm gonna break it down for this. For the ones that don't break down basketball. The reason why off the ball movement is an issue, especially when you have an isolation team, because let's say DeMar is isolating. Let's say he's going one-on-one with the player. If the other offensive players on the Bulls are just standing around, it allows the defense to get set. So then even if DeMar wanted to pass the ball, he couldn't because the defenders are set and can easily either deflect or steal the ball. When you move without the ball, you create mismatches. You create the defenders kind of be out of position. So thus, even if DeMar is going one-on-one, if the players are moving without the ball, that means that the defenders are moving. If the defenders are moving, that means lanes can open, possibly for DeMar, possibly for other players. So you have to consistently move without the ball. This team doesn't do that. So they don't even help DeMar. Now, DeMar is still goes to isolation, right? I'm not completely abstaining DeMar from that, but I am saying this. The other players still have to help him out by moving without the ball. No, I don't bet. I don't do any betting. I just don't do that. Colin says, I mean, if I want to play ball and DeMar does DeMar things, I'm probably not going to care much. Oh, no, that's not true. You get paid millions of dollars to do stuff. That's not acceptable for – that may be acceptable for street ball. That's not acceptable for NBA level ball. Debo got to stop being selfish and pass the damn ball tonight, and Zach got to get involved. Billy rotation got to be on point. Billy's rotation, like sometimes it is, sometimes it ain't. My question is, after the season, will we re-sign Dragic or will he retire? Would love to have him back. Honestly, been a huge help for us. I don't know. I really don't know how to call it. The way that he talks about his career, it feels like he knows is almost out, but he's playing really good. I can see Dragic playing for another 2 or 3 years. But if that comes, he may. But listen, the thing that Dragic has shown is that, hey, I'm still a player in this league, and we know what may come of that is that teams that are championship teams may absolutely come after Goran Dragic to be on their bench. Lonzo's the missing piece. Go find a stretch four who can defend. I was thinking Jonathan. They're not giving up. Like people just say, go find these players. Like it's literally just like walking into Best Buy and being like, oh, let me get one of them Jonathan Isaacs right quick. Let me get one of those. Can I get one of those Jonathan Isaacs? Just go ahead and throw it in my cart. Let's go. It's not that simple. Also, Jonathan Isaac has played less basketball than he has played the last 2 years. So I don't know if that necessarily helps. And Lonzo helps this team a lot, but he doesn't fix all the issues on this team at all. Hey, is Crowder or Barnes? If bought out, who you choosing? If bought out, I'm choosing Barnes, period. Barnes is a better scorer. He's a more versatile defender, especially when we have having Drummond and Crowder. Wow, listen, that's a front line that's going to be tough. And they're going to play you tough. We still need some shooting. Jay Crowder really doesn't bring that. Harrison Barnes brings the shooting aspect of it. And Harrison Barnes he's a so-so one-on-one defender. He's a solid team defender. But then again, you could say we don't run good team defense. So, there you go. I don't think you can necessarily go wrong with either. But I do think that if I had my pick, it'd be Harrison Barnes over Jay Crowder. I genuinely don't know how Billy expects Pat to be more aggressive when he's being used as a 3-and-D. All we do is ISO and feed Vooch in the post. No off-ball screens, no double pins to get guys open, nothing. Hey, I've been saying that for the last 8 months, brother. Completely agree with you. More screens for off-ball movements, more playbook from Donovan. Agree with you. Goon says, my son Io been fucking up. I think Io just hit his sophomore stage. Io going to come from under it. I agree too. He's going to work himself under it. One thing with Io is he responds very well to criticism. He's probably the hardest critic on himself as well. I just want to see Derrick Jones Jr. get some minutes tonight. Would be interesting to see how he matches up with Sabonis and Barnes defensively. Well, he will. Javonte Green is not playing in this game, so that means that Derrick Jones Jr. is going to be getting a nice amount of minutes this game. Nick Tolliver says, what up? What's good, Haize? Reporting live from Sacramento at the Bulls game. We better win. Hey, you already know how I feel about that. OB96 says, love the channel, bro. Thank you for joining. I'm glad that you appreciate it. By the way, everybody, make sure if you're not subscribed to the channel, you hit the subscribe button as we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. But hey, it is what it is there. If you want to help me out, you do. If not, it's cool. Shannon Williams, what do you mean by what's the issues? In what aspect? And I don't mean that sarcastically. I just want to make sure I answer your question. Aiden the designer, hey, Haize, do you hoop? And if you do, how would you rate your skills? Oh, listen, I play basketball. I'm not anything to freaking call home about. I mean, I'm gonna play good defense though, and I can shoot the ball. But football was my sport, not basketball. But I play basketball. Damn, Haize, what you said about player movement opens lanes for Zach to exploit. That's what he needs to be effective. Him and a lot of other players. Hey, Haize, I really like the signing of Drummond, but I feel like he's not staying here next year due to lack of minutes Billy is giving him. That's absolutely. Now, I know he signed an option. I can't remember if it's a player option or a team option. I know he has an option on the back end of that contract. On the second year of that contract, I say back end. He only signed for 2 deals. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. It's a player option. So, yeah, he can opt out of that contract. And considering the way that he's played, considering the way that he's looked, he can definitely make a case for any team to say, hey, you guys see what I can do. He definitely could. Eli says, hi, listen from Israel. Well, thank you for joining us from Israel. We appreciate you, brother. Do you think the Bulls make a major trade? I still don't think that they're likely to make a major trade. Still don't think it. Score predictions for today's game. I got the Bulls 113, the Kings 107. I don't really do score predictions, especially for this team that plays with no heart. At the end of the day, it's so hard to predict this team, right? It just really is, because you can see this team easily scoring like 115 points, but then you can see them giving up 126 while they do that if they don't play with the defensive intensity that we know this team needs to play with. So it's really hard to predict the Chicago Bulls team, at least for me. Colin, no, Kostas is not a good basketball player. He's just not. Go watch him on the Windy City Bulls. He plays pretty solidly when Dalen Terry's out there with him, feeding them. Like, Kostas is a player that needs a point guard that's going to run some pick and roll with him. Kostas ain't, but he's not good. Kostas isn't good. Bulls Daily, I'm saying it's 138 people watching, but 25 likes. The math off as fuck right now. Hey, the math ain't mathing, is what we can say. The math definitely ain't mathing. You guys need to get in gear. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and do that. Help the channel out. We're trying to grow. All right, let's see what else we got. Who is your current favorite Bulls player and why? That's from Sluggo. I would have easily said Zach at the beginning of the season and last season. Zach is playing like crap. I still really do like Zach LaVine, though. You know what? Interesting enough, it may be Javonte Green. Because I just like players that play with heart. I like players that play with grit. I like players that just play with that energy. And Javonte is that. I'm not saying he's the best at all. I would never say that. But he may be my favorite Bull right now. The Trae Young news? No, what happened with Trae Young? What happened with Trae Young? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, between tensions rise between Trae Young and Nate McMillan. Okay, that's cool. They're not trading Trae Young. I tell you right now, they're not trading Trae. They're not trading Trae. Nate McMillan will be gone long before they trade Trae Young, which is kind of a tongue twister to say, but they're not doing it. I'm a new Bulls fan here in Manchester, England. Fell in love with the Bulls after watching The Last Dance Netflix documentary in the summer. I need to see more passion, not this half-ass attitude. Listen, you saw the Last Dance documentary. Imagine living that. Imagine seeing a team that played so well and executed so well like that team did, and then look at the last 25 years since then. It's been a difficult stretch for us Bulls fans. But glad to have you here. Glad to have you as a fan of the team. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and hopefully this team starts playing better so they can stop pissing you off and Bulls fans off as well. So, but all right, y'all. I am gonna get ready to wrap up this pregame show. Oh, what we got? Hold on. Do you think any of the Bulls players could develop into a consistent shooter if focused? Yeah. Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams can absolutely develop into a consistent. You don't shoot over 50% from three-point range at any point without being able to have the ability to be a consistent three-point threat. And his mid-range was coming along. Now things have fell off the a cliff in the last 4 or 5 games. But Patrick Williams can absolutely be that. Ayo Dosunmu, especially if you watch Ayo in college, you know he can develop into that. Dalen Terry is probably going to be slower. He's going to need to work with a shooting coach, some things like that. But I do think this team has players that can develop into consistent shooters. They just have to be given the opportunity to. I think it's time for Bulls to put Dalen Terry on the floor. We could use his defense and energy especially. I kind of said that on today's pre-recorded show. Or maybe that was yesterday's, but it's still not likely to happen. Alana says, P-Will needs to tighten his jump shot and release faster, and he's set. Well, the thing is, Patrick Williams, because he doesn't have a fast release, if you notice, like, especially on mid-range where it can be more congested, he jumps higher on his mid-range shots because of his length and that 7-foot wingspan. It's really hard to block a jumper from a player like that. So he's at least doing that. But if he can do that and work on the quick release, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I just didn't even see this. I think I just explained why that happens. Luis says, am I the only one that thinks Pat floats too much on the way up on his mid-range shot? I just said that. I think that because Patrick Williams understands his release is slower and the mid-range is congested. So I think he does absolutely jump higher. But I think it's to create that separation to make sure his shot can't be blocked. Debo, do you think Zach LaVine will be an all-star this year? I don't think that's going to happen. He would have to have a hellified next 20 to 25 games. But all right, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Get ready for the game. Dig in for that. Make sure you guys are here for the halftime hangout and the post-game shows, which I do both live here. Right as halftime happens, we'll be live for the halftime hangout. Right as the game ends, we'll be live for the post-game show. So make sure you guys are tuned in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on your way out. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text and or voicemail for our mailbag episodes, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. Like I liked in everything on Go Bulls, See Red. Love you guys, and peace.